Hallo, herzlich willkommen zur 14. Folge Suzerain zusammen mit Apfel.
Hallo.
Heute haben wir Briefing in Lashaven. The Blue Mansion in Lashaven hosted us for the important diplomacy gathering. The door opened and David Whiskey, once a lecturer to me, now the Minister of Foreign Affairs, gently made his way towards my desk. Ja, Whisky.
Oh.
Hat man noch nicht.
Nee.
Ja, mach ich einfach.
Alright.
Nein, nicht. Whisky. May I sit down, Mr. President? Leave the formalities aside, David. Please take a seat. Of course, it's a pleasure to see you, Mr. Whiskey. Gesture at the chair. Ja, 1.
Ja.
Alright. I'm still getting used to your new position, Anton. He slowly sat down, taking care not to aggravate the arthritis in his knees. He'd always had... Arthritis. Also, in his knees. He'd always had an air of gravitas about him. An old age had only served to deepen that. After he settled himself, he regarded me with delight, his blue eyes sparkling. Look at you, Anton, the 4th President of Saltland. What a privilege for me.
Einfach, dass er halt auch blaue Augen hat, macht diese Person nochmal so viel besser.
I still remember the first day you took my class at the Whole Salt State University. Somehow, the inexplicable ebb and flow of life has led us here, to positions where we can change the course of history. Everything happens for a reason, David. It was meant to be. We got a little lucky, that's all. This is our opportunity to shape the future, and we will do precisely that. Ja, 2.
Ja.
I am looking forward to our new foreign policy. He started coughing again, this time for longer. Would you like some tea or water? How's your health, David? Let's not start talking about foreign policy.
1, oder?
Oh yes, please. Tea and water sounds nice. Wir haben gefragt, entweder oder. Thank you very much.
Er nimmt einfach beides.
He smiled. Labia brought 2 cups of tea along with a glass of water and placed them on the table. It seems you still remember how much I like tea. Nowadays, it really does wonders to my throat. So, how's your wife, Catherine, doing? Has your nice Margie started going to the kindergarten yet? How is your health, David? Let's start talking about our foreign policy. Ja, wollen wir noch ein bisschen schnacken?
So, ein bisschen nett. Keine Ahnung, 2 oder so.
Yes, she has. Spending time with Margie makes me happy. There's still much ahead of her in life. I sometimes wish Catherine and I had children, but that ship sailed long time ago. How is the Rainey family? We are starting to get used to the routine. Monica is really taking to the first lady role. Frank never liked the spotlight, so that hasn't changed. Ja, 1.
Wait, wie jung sind seine Geschwister? Wenn das Kind von einer seiner Geschwister oder so jetzt erst in den Kindergarten kommt.
Tja.
Und er ist gefühlt 80.
Tja.
Okay. Interesting.
Er steht gar nicht da, wann er geboren wurde. Aber sicher 1800, ja.
Krass.
Ja, alt.
Ja.
As time passes, I realize it more. Family is the most important thing in life. We must take care of them. The door opened. Joseph and Lucian joined us for the briefing as the tall case clock hit the hour mark. Nice. Folge hätte ich auch allein machen können. Peter, however, was missing. Der ist schon wieder beim Essen.
Alle deine heute.
Der ist schon wieder beim Essen heute. Peter. I wondered if he was late from all the drinking he did at the party in Lashaven. We'll talk more later, President Rainey. Welcome, everyone. Yeah, how was your travel to Lashaven? Oh, a little bumpy due to some turbulence. I arrived via a military cargo plane that landed in Lashaven International. I took the train. It was a little slow, but I can still recommend it for the beautiful landscape. I also had the possibility to work on a couple of things during the ride. From what I have heard, it will be much faster in the near future when the L1 high-speed rail is finished. Exactly. It will hopefully be one of our major achievements. Well then, since Mr. Recton doesn't seem to be coming today, I think we are ready to start. I will start by providing a brief overview of our current status with our neighbors. What would you like to start with? Fangen wir mal mit Wellen an.
Sind die, wo wir uns verbünden wollen, oder?
Ja, Wellen.
Rumburg. Wellen und Lesbia, glaube ich, war's.
Agnoli und Welksland sind noch dabei. Und die beiden haben ja hier Beef um die Insel. Letztes Mal waren wir auf der Seite von Agnoli, ja.
Vielleicht wäre es diesmal schlauer, auf die anderen zu gehen.
Maybe. It is tumultuous in the south, as always. Victor Smollett is expanding his powers among protests from Wessex people. However, he is quite positive about a normalization of relationship between our countries. Reports indicate that they have been warming up to contend an international aid. As you know, Welland's stability was always a concern for the region. But if we want to help them, we must not treat refugees like we did in the 30s. I still can't stomach the inhumanity of those people suffers. A trade agreement with them would improve stability and increase mutual trade, while help such a disorganized state. Not sure about what we can do to help them. Swortland paid enough by housing millions of refugees during the Welland Civil War. No more.
2, 3 sind ziemlich anti-Weller, da habe ich das Gefühl.
Ja, die sind aber auch jetzt ein bisschen destabil.
True, und ich weiß nicht, bei was genau die uns helfen könnten.
Ja, ich weiß auf jeden Fall, dass es ein bisschen vielleicht ein Fehler war, dass ich das letzte Mal mich auf deren Seite geschlagen habe. Vielleicht mussten wir dann Völkermord machen. It does pose many risks, but we could ensure that we have more influence in the region by increasing our trade and border security. Our main goal should be to avoid a refugee crisis like the late 1920s. That civil war had major security and economic repercussions on Scottish soil. One of the demands of President Smollett was to tighten our immigration laws, so the political refugees don't escape to Swortland. There has been a recent purge that pushed many Bloodish to flee the Berkshire. It is definitely troubling. Gumran Outpost has regained its importance due to this. I'm sure you would remember that winter at the border outpost, Mr. President. He was right. I did remember that winter. I remember the despair in the refugees' eyes when we forcefully escorted them back to the Welland border.
Yeah.
It is in our national interest to prevent the formation of a failed state on our western border. Poland has been increasingly aligning itself towards the Communist alliance. Another point to analyze. I want to know more about Welksland. Our cousins of old, the Marken Sea, wish to have good relations with us. As we all know, Welksland is a socialist republic aligned with the United Container. They are an important regional player. It is also the most significant sea power in Eastern Macopa. We had hostile relations with them after several wars in the 19th century, which we wouldn't want to experience again. Recently, the relationship has warmed up thanks to Emmerich Hegel. As a result, diplomatic talks can be conducted in the future. It's not easy to forget about the Great Fire of Conrad. Thousands of lives were lost that day. Breaking the ice with Welksland could be good. If we are to rise diplomatically, we shouldn't take any sides between the regional powers. Ja, das sind halt Kommunisten.
Ja.
Ja, vielleicht zwei.
Macht meistens Sinn, ja.
I agree. They could be potential allies, in my opinion. The situation in the region necessitates that we find our allies. They haven't been in good relationships with us for the past 200 years. Recently, they have also joined the Communist Container Security Pact, subjugating themselves to United Container. On top of that, territorial issues flare up between Agnolia and Welksland because of the Helgoland island. The Swedish Navy is very concerned with this volatile situation. Lucian looked slightly worried. Unfortunately, billions of Swedish rand worth of cargo is transported close to Icelandic maritime borders on the Marken Sea and the Grey Strait. This causes significant risks to our imports and exports to the case of a deterioration in relations. The strait is of high strategic value to us. We can't expect the worst. Ja, 1.
Ja.
Joseph, the Navy is keeping an eye on the situation from a distance, right? We are actively monitoring the sea routes and cargo ships. For now, there is no immediate threat, but we don't know what can happen in the future.
War es nicht jedes Problem letztes Mal, wo wir mit Welland gesidet sind, wo Welksland dann unsere Routen mit ihren Militärschiffen blockiert haben?
Ich glaube, das wird bei den beiden egal sein, mit wem wir uns verbinden.
Wir haben schon, wer mit den beiden krasser ist.
Ja, aber wir können uns fast nicht mit den Kommunisten zusammentun. Ne?
Ja, aber
also da mit dem falschen Pfad gewählt. Military Strong.
Was ist denn die Alternative? Weil gegen Rumburg brauchen wir definitiv Manpower. Military Weak, wow.
Ja, aber ich glaube, wenn wir uns mit den Kommunisten zusammentun, werden wir Lesbia nicht auf unsere Seite kriegen.
True.
Und ohne Lesbia, wenn wir jetzt zum Beispiel nur Welksland kriegen, weil United Container wird auch sagen, fuck you, ihr seid Westen, ne? Würde uns nur noch Welland bleiben. Und ich weiß nicht, ob die auch so eine gute Wahl sind. Also ich würde mich eher mit Agnolia und Lesbia tryen.
True.
I'd like to hear about Agnolia. Our brotherly nation in our northeast, Agnolia. They are still diplomatically non-aligned and probably has one of the most democratic systems between our neighbors. Economic stagnation is a worry for them. Their primary issue is the heavy reliance on foreign investments from us. Agnolia is our most friendly neighbor. We have been allies for the longest time after Rumburg annexes Dome. This fact needs to be a part of the equation. Unsurprisingly, the Agnolian Prime Minister Martin von Horten is expecting better cooperation through a new, fairer trade deal with us. It was one of his election mandates. We'll think about his request. The matter is still on the table. A more comprehensive trade deal sounds beneficial to all sides. We should maintain the existing agreement. We can't lose our advantage. Yeah, that's why. Both sides could gain from it, but Agnolia has more to win than us. They want to protect the weaker industry, which we are profiting from, selling our goods to. Additionally, the latest numbers indicate that currently 1 million Agno-Swordish citizens live in the England region of Swordland, which creates a link between foreign policy and our internal affairs. These people have suffered socio-economically, which led them to crime and other problems. In addition, a relaxed immigration policy was one of Agnolian's main requests, which is unacceptable. Most of our migrants in our country haven't even assimilated into Swordish culture. Adding more won't help. I'm skeptical about relaxed immigration.
Yep.
You should be. We have already witnessed several society-shifting waves of migration. We should remember that we promised to tighten our immigration laws in the election campaign. Yeah, let's move on. Two important neighbor countries remain, Lesbia and Rumburg. Which would you like to hear about first? Yeah. Our southern neighbor is aligning itself more and more with Acacia. Lesbia is currently led by Prime Minister Patricio Alvarez. They are the jewel of the continent and the second largest economy in Macopa. Though wealthier, Lesbia suffers from excessive economic inequality. Our past relations have been great, but during the last decade, their investments to Swordland dwindled due to our instability. Allying with the richest regional nation could be beneficial. Yeah. It would be, but it would also mean that we would draw closer to Acacia, to the Acacia bloc, and near the Acacian Treaty Organization. I'm certain that the recession has a lot to do with their retraction of investments. Once they see that money isn't in the picture, they vanish rather quickly because they are capitalists. They have shown a selfish attitude during the Wahhan Civil War, by closing the borders and funneling refugees to cross into Swordland. Lucian cleared his throat. Ah, okay, cool. Our values are too different with Lesbia. It will be hard to see eye to eye. The capitalism of Lesbia is inspirational to me. Look at their economic power. That's why.
Yeah.
Everything comes at a cost. In Lesbia, the cost is wealth inequality, but business people are getting richer and richer. There are hundreds of every privileged oligarchs who invested inside and outside of Lesbia. Some made significant business investments in the cities of Banfi and Volden. What is the situation with Rumburg? Now, the most troublesome nation, Rumburg, a constitutional monarchy led by Queen Beatrice Livingston. I highly advise caution and calculated actions against Rumburg. Our military must be prepared to the threat is real. They are strong and have the motivation as well as the means to damage us. We shouldn't give them any reasons to pursue aggression. Rambock is and always will be a roguelike state. Nothing can be done about them.
Fucking Rambock.
Yeah, we must prevent them from interfering in our affairs.
Yes.
They have shown similar behaviors to the neighboring countries before, but we must be cautious. While Thornburg openly denies such claims, their past and current actions make it clear that they want to destabilize us. The weapons caches found by our intelligence agency clearly shows what their goals are. Our military must be steadfast, and our diplomacy valiant. Joseph looked stern and full of resolve. The Rambock threat is one of our top priorities. You can be assured of that. We are always in dialogue with our Rambock ambassador to make sure a channel is open to solve disputes. We should use their aggressive attitude against them by convincing the international community. Lucian grabbed the Lashaven Times newspaper and put his finger on the article about the latest diplomatic incident. Their abrupt announcement about the closure of the Rambock consulate in Lashaven is yet another step in their escalation. This covers the overview of the current situation. We will move on to our trade choice and the response to Rambock's diplomacy escalation. The sun began to set over the hills surrounding Lashaven. The team was ready to give advice on the new trade initiative and the response to the latest diplomatic incident with Rambock. Peter arrived late and a little rougher than usual. It must have been the drinking from last night.
Hey there, folks. Excuse my delay. I'm sure I didn't miss anything we didn't already know.
You were still supposed to be a part of this meeting, also on time. Punctuality is important. We are talking about serious subjects here. Peter was assigned a task from me. That is why he is late. So let's move on. They have a point, Peter. We should have discipline in this cabinet. Ja, sorry Peter, muss sein.
Ja, es ist schon true. Excuse me, it won't happen again.
Ich muss ganz kurz aufstehen. Lucian and Joseph looked at Peter before David moved away from the subject. The Vice President will be part of the trade delegation, so it is great to have input on that subject, but also on the Rambock incident. There are two issues at hand. Which topic should we tackle first? Yeah, trade negotiations.
Yeah.
Our primary goal will be to successfully sign a trade agreement with one of our smaller neighbors. We have two options with our trade initiative. Start of new negotiations with our old partner Agnolia and forming a new cooperation with Welchem. Tell me more about Agnolia. First off, the reason behind this option is more diplomatic than economic, although of course we can't forgo the added economic value. Agnolia is an old ally and a valuable trade partner. The point we are at with the early negotiations is around the steel trade. They are demanding that we buy the steel for a higher price. That is because they think that the deal is far too unbalanced as it is. Their second main demand is a privileged access to our agriculture markets. If we are to fulfill the demands in return, they are offering a full alliance with Scotland against Rumburg. Looking at the current advances of Rumburg near our borders, having a coalition against Rumburg would prove extremely useful. Obviously, there will be consequences for entering a full alliance. Mainly the issue is surrounding the Helgi Island. Welschland has clearly intentions on taking over the island one way or another, and entering a military alliance with Agnolia will make them furious. I want to state my support for the decision to stick to our old ally Agnolia. Even though I disagree with their demand to relax immigration, we have cooperated with them on many issues in the past.
There are obviously subjects that we would still need to tackle, like our economies, the traded goods, and what to do with immigration.
My opinion is that this is a good deal and we should go for it. The Neo-Agnolian Prime Minister is trying to improve the existing relationship. The downside is that we would need to make concessions, a reality of any trade deal. Ja, 1.
Ein New Agreement wäre doch gar nicht so scheiße.
Nee. That would be the best outcome. If we decide that Agnolia is a good option, another point is that they have a very democratic system. After the recent elections, the Prime Minister has amended to arrange a fairer deal with us. Martin von Horten also is an avid supporter of relaxed immigration. Since we said we will tighten immigration, he might be reluctant. Regardless, if we are going to increase our regional influence to previous levels, we might need to make amends with our neighbors. Ultimately, the decision will be up to you as always. Tell me more about Welland. Dealing with a fractured country like Welland has its positives and negatives. Although it will be lucrative in short term, there are risks associated with dealing with such a country. They are proposing co-investment projects and a no-tariff agreement. They are also offering oil in return for attracting foreign capital interests from Scotland. However, it is possible that there will be international ramifications of getting closer with a country like Welland. All in all, this is a very lucrative deal for us, however. We need to think about the consequences. I certainly don't support the decision to become friendlier with Welland. We carried their burdens for decades. The migrants flooded our country, and now they are expecting a deal from us?
Ich finde schon, dass der halt fast nichts sagt, ne, obwohl er da ist. Mein Gott. Maintaining influence with Welland could prove useful. Yes, it is risky, but think about our influence on an underdeveloped region like that. We could also sell more products and enter the market easily. Aber wäre gut für unsere Economy, oder nicht?
I am of the opinion that it is simply too risky. Yes, we would gain resources and immediate capital, but I'm afraid of the consequence. Ja, ich glaube auch, dass es so risky wird. Geld schmelzt, sag ich immer. Nein. I tend to agree. If we wish to go forward with the deal, when the time comes, there's the topic of immigration to consider. Victor Smollett is a known isolationist, Our promise to tighten our immigration policy will increase the likelihood of the deal. He believes our borders need better security. I personally don't like the idea of getting closer to welchem. Me too. Agreed.
I still think we should give it a try.
Our campaign promised to steer Southland towards west, and Acacia will have an effect on the negotiations, especially with welchem. As you know, the current affairs of welchem are partly a result of United Containers' support of Victor Smolik. This will be a problem, but definitely worth trying. As for Agnolia, this promise had made them cautious, which might make it harder to get a good deal. We also need to consider the effects of our economic doctrine plan. The fact that we are headed towards a market economy will have an influence.
Good negotiators optimize the interests, which makes the difference become trivial, allowing both sides to reach a deal.
Very true, Mr. Recton. We have a lot of time to prepare before their schedules. Visits to welchem and Agnolia scheduled. I believe this gives a brief overview of our current options. Dann Rumburg. Rumburg Consul Sir Bran Harrington announced the closure of the 120-year-old consulate. Now the diplomatic staff is leaving the city to go back to Thornburg. He blamed the lack of security in Southland due to the assassination and the subsequent protests. But it's obvious that they are making excuses. Bastards! First they close the consulate, and then they blame our security. Ja, 1.
Ja.
They're playing with us, assholes.
Isn't it telling when other countries are working with us while Rumburg is just cutting more ties with us?
The neglect of President Alfonso and the chaos of the elections delayed our diplomatic efforts. Now there are only 2 Rumburg diplomatic missions left in Southland. One is the consulate in Daya, and the other one is the embassy in Holzort. We are accustomed to the usual rhetoric, but this is far more serious. I must display strength to my people. We can't be pushed around. 2. We can't be pushed around. Die können Southland nicht einfach rumschubsen. Sie wollen.
All of this may be a calculated plan of action to push us to a corner and act irrationally.
This is my fear. They might be looking for a cause belly and are slowly spiraling downwards to find reasons to wage a war. Joseph Lancier was furious. He barely kept himself from slamming the desk. There are worrying developments like the smuggled arms and build-up near the border. Our military must be buffed up to stand against a regional power like Rumburg. We either respond to this aggressive act with a diplomatic condemnation, or we retaliate by closing our consulate in Dome. I want to say that an escalation would be risky this early in our presidency. We should focus on creating a negative image of Rumburg in the international scene. The people of Southland must be protected, no matter the cost. I say we respond equality. Retaliate by closing the Southland consulate in Dome. They think they can bully us? They were never so wrong. Write an official diplomatic response condemning this unreasonable act. Declare that Rumburg aims to destabilize Southland and the region. 1.
Ja.
Auge um Auge, Zahn um Zahn. As you wish, Mr. President. I shall begin work by immediately informing the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Trade. A strong response to Rumburg will boost popularity at home. I'm glad that we are drawing a clear red line, otherwise they will keep escalating the situation.
I like the determination, Mr.
Ich
President.
finde schön, erst waren alle dagegen, jetzt sind alle dafür.
Ja.
Sind solche Arschkriecher. Our trade delegation will begin work towards the end of the year. We expect a final negotiation and if signing to happen next year.
I'm very much looking forward to visiting Stalport and Recklavitz with party animals like David and Simon.
Egaler Peter.
Peter.
Peter laughed. Joseph narrowed his eyes and stared at him. Well, that concludes our meeting, Mr. Rainey. Thank you all for coming.
Peter.
I will take my leave then. Sir? The meeting concluded and the team dispersed. Our diplomatic action plan officially began. Ja, was haben wir denn nächste Folge vor uns? Results of the Reform Committee. Okay. Gut, dann würde ich sagen, lasst uns ein Like und ein Abo, wenn es euch gefallen hat. Schaut beim nächsten Mal wieder vorbei und tschüss.
Tschüss.